Hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in. What's early afternoon here in Cambridge? See our
Welcome,
numbers climbing.
everybody. When you have a chance, can you please chat in your first name and where you are physically right now?
Ooh. Hi, Vanessa from Austin, Texas. All right. I hope I say this correctly. Ji from South Korea. Hello. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh my
Hongmin,
goodness, I think
College.
that's might be midnight.
I know.
Thank you much for international folks who are tuning in. We're really grateful for your time and energy and attention.
Absolutely. Bella from Tucson. Allie from Oklahoma City. Hello, hello. We'll get started in just a few moments. In the meantime, I hope you're settling in with that cup of hot coffee or tea. Any last minute restroom breaks. We're excited you're here too, Vanessa.
Okay, everyone. Alessandra, should we get started?
I think we should, Margaret. Sounds great.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so thrilled you're here joining us for the HDS Overview, Application Requirements and Best Practices. My name is Margaret Okada-Sheck. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here in HDS Admissions, and I am in the office here on campus. I'm joined here today with my colleague, Alessandra.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Alessandra and I'm the admissions officer here at HDS. I've been with HDS for about 6 months now. And I was previously at Harvard Law School as an admissions assistant and officer. And so it's just a really great pleasure to be here, especially with you all offering our insights and tips on HDS. And thanks again for making the time. We're excited to have you here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Alessandra. So we're just going to turn off our videos for the purposes of the presentation. We'll turn them back on once we get to the Q&A portion of the presentation. So I'm here to start us off to talk about HDS. We were founded in 1816 as the first divinity school in the United States, and we are the most religiously pluralistic divinity school in the world. We're the second oldest graduate school at Harvard University, second after Harvard Medical School. HDS educates students in the academic study of religion in preparation for ethical leadership, religious literacy, and service-oriented mission-driven work. Our students who enter in 4-degree programs really do lead to infinite pathways. They come from every corner of the world and they end up doing lots of different things all over. And really our alumnics you can find them in every field and industry. It's really incredible. I'm going to turn things over to Alessandra, who will talk about our academic programs.
Thanks, Margaret. And just wanting to let everybody know here that I did disable the chat box. So if you do have any questions, of course, as we are presenting, please, please, please feel free to chat away in the Q&A box instead. And we'll definitely make sure to save some time at the end for any questions that you might have. So as Margaret mentioned, I definitely want to cover our 4-degree programs as well as one non-degree program at HDS. So the first one that we have here is our Master of Divinity. And as you can see, it's a 3-year full-time degree. There are 3 required courses, 2 units of field education, and 1 language requirement. So the MDiv is essentially for those students who are preparing for ordained or lay ministry or leadership in congregations and other religious communities, or perhaps ministry and social service, hospital and prison chaplaincy, maybe interfaith ministry on college campuses, or teaching and scholarships. Essentially, students in our MDiv program are learning to work at the intersection of both an academic study of religion as well as the practice of religion through their communities or classroom studies, field studies, etc. So the MDiv was actually initially, historically, for students who were preparing for parish ministry. And to some extent, it does still help those students prepare for vocation, but there's actually fewer than 40% of our MDiv graduates who actually pursue that path. As you can see there, students really are learning the arts of ministry with a lowercase m. A lot of our students, we really consider ministry as very broadly defined. And so a lot of our students are really actually pursuing service and mission-driven work instead. I wanted to touch base on some of our career outcomes for the MDiv, as that's a pretty frequently asked question that we get. And so the vast majority of them, as I mentioned, pursue careers in service-oriented work. So about 53% report entering ministerial vocations, or including ordained orders, lay ministry, and chaplaincy. Close to 23% of them enter the education field, such as secondary school teaching, university teaching, or higher ed. And then actually 28% of our MDiv graduates go ahead to an additional graduate degree, primarily doctorates in religion, but also seminary-based masters, maybe in education or social work, public health, and law. And then a smaller but a measurable percentage of them do report careers in public policy, nonprofit management, counseling and psych, writing, and communications. And finally, the MDiv is eligible for generous institutional grant aid, which Margaret will touch base on in a little bit. So the next degree that we will be looking at today is the Master of Theological Studies. So as you can see here, it's a 2-year full-time degree that has 6 courses in an area of focus, and we'll take a look at what those areas are in a moment. 3 classes outside that area of focus, 1 required class and 1 language requirement. So the Master of Theological Studies is different from the MDiv because it's got a little bit more of an academic or scholarly focus to it. It's a very broad degree that really looks at exploring the languages, the literatures, the thought, the institutions, the normative claims, essentially the structure of different theological fields and religious traditions. So it's really there to help students develop the skills to think critically with self-awareness and with religious literacy, again, about these different concepts and traditions. As I was mentioning, students in the MTS degree select one of 18 areas of focus that really allows them to study a particular religious field or tradition in more depth. But at HDS, given our pluralistic background, it's really important to us that students also gain exposure to different religious fields as well, which is why you are required to take 3 classes outside of your intended area of focus. So students in this program essentially would be doing maybe prep work toward a doctoral program in religion or related discipline, or maybe because they're looking to approach a different career field from a religious perspective, maybe such as law, journalism, public policy, education, the arts, medicine. And so similar to statistics I gave for the MDiv, I'm happy to provide them for the MTS. So about 62% of our MTS graduates report earning advanced degrees. 27% have earned doctorates in religious or theological studies, while others are earning seminary-based masters or in medical, law, work, business, public health degrees. About half of our MTS graduates work in the education sector, so more than the MDiv, primarily again in university teaching and administration, but also again in the high school setting. And then another 34% of them are medical, legal, and management professionals that are employed in nonprofits and in the public sector, healthcare and human services, writing and communication. So again, we're going to show you actually a snapshot of what our alumni go on to do in just a little bit. But just like the MDiv, the MTS is also eligible for generous institutional grant aid. And again, Margaret will touch base on that in a little bit. So the next degree program that we offer here at HDS is our Master of Theology. So this one is a little bit more niched. It's intended for applicants who already have a Master of Divinity or its graduate equivalent. And so they're really just looking to pursue a new direction or even just gain greater depth in a particular field of religion in such a way that would enrich their existing ministry. And again, ministry with a lowercase m here. Just like the Master of Theological Studies, though, the THM does require that students select one of the 18 areas of focus to concentrate in. So as you can see by the numbers down here, students in this program would be required to take 4 courses in that specific area of focus, in addition to 4 electives and then an oral exam. So we typically only have this past year, we had about 2 students in our Master of Theology program, so it is a pretty small degree program. This next slide here will show you the 18 areas of focus that are available to Master of Theological Studies students and our Master of Theology students. So this gives you an idea. And again, the hope here is that you don't just pigeonhole yourself into one of these areas, but that you're also exploring different ones. So you could certainly take Buddhist studies while also exploring South Asian religious traditions, for example, or taking both New Testament and early Christianity, but also looking at the Hebrew Bible and the Old Testament, for example. So again, this is just a quick snapshot of some of the areas of focus. And if you don't see one on this slide that really aligns with your particular interests, you are more than welcome to work with a faculty member to design your own as well. So there's some flexibility. And then our final degree program is our Master of Religion and Public Life, or the MRPL. This is the newest master's degree, and it's in its 2nd year for this application cycle. It's a 1-year program that's designed for students who are already experienced professionals in their careers. So this could be 2nd, 3rd, or 4th career individuals. And these also tend to be students who are non-traditional in the sense that they're slightly older. So again, this provides an opportunity for mid-career journalists, maybe, or government officials, humanitarian aid workers, educators, artists, healthcare professionals, lawyers, essentially just to take a pause in their careers and then come to Harvard Divinity School for 1 year and just gain an understanding of how religion and theology impacts their work. And they also gain religious literacy, a way in which they can actually discuss these religious topics in a career or public or secular setting in a way that is informed. So students in this program will be taking 2 required courses as well as a final project requirement. Given that the MRPL is only a 1-year program and it does culminate in that final project, the application process is a little bit different for students in this degree. Rather than submitting a statement of purpose, individuals applying to the MRPL will instead be providing us with a proposal of what that final project would look like. So if you are hoping to apply to this program, you should already have some idea of what topic of study you would want to undertake while here at HDS. So you'd be submitting that again in lieu of the statement of purpose. The final project requirement, sorry, Margaret, could look like either 2 smaller papers, about 20 to 30 pages, or 1 larger paper, about 40 to 60 pages. And, or it could be a portfolio that addresses a particular theme within the intersection of religion. So just to give you an idea of what that final project is like. Okay, ready for the next slide. And then we have our non-degree program. This is called our Special Students Program. So this is essentially a one-time opportunity for non-degree students to do coursework at Harvard Divinity School. So they would be earning full credit and they could take up to 8 classes in the span of 2 years. And students in this program are eligible to apply to our regular degree programs and have their coursework count toward that degree program after the fact. So special student program might be helpful to those students who are perhaps considering graduate school and not sure if they want to make a full commitment yet. But they'd be forging connections with faculty members and students to get both a gauge of what graduate school is like, while also making those connections to help with their application process, like potentially letters of recommendation. And it could also be a way for students whose academic records, maybe their undergraduate academic records, don't really reflect their best efforts, or maybe there's been a significant change since that time. Doing a special student program here at HDS could help provide additional perspective to academic qualitative features of an application. So that's our special student program. And then I'm going to turn it over to Margaret, who can talk to us a little bit more about our faculty.
Thanks so much, Alessandra. So now that you heard about our degree programs, let's turn to the faculty who are leading them, or basically leading the academic life here at HDS. Our faculty really are phenomenal, and we are currently having faculty searches to really fill in all the other areas that to really build our faculty as well. As you can see, 54% of our faculty are tenured women and or faculty of color. And many of them specialize in non-Christian traditions, which really leads me to tell you that our faculty strength really reflects the pluralism that you find in our student body and in all the work that we do. There's strength in five major religious, in five major of the world's major religious traditions. And you'll find more than 80 of the research faculty, visiting faculty, others offering instruction, as well as our 12 denominational counselors, particularly those who are interested in ordination or within specific religious traditions. This leads our really diverse faculty really lends itself well to create incredible coursework for our students to take advantage of. One of the best things about our class courses is that because it's so flexible, our students are really able to tailor their academic experience to their specific interests. We offer over 195 classes, generally speaking, to appeal to a broad spectrum of interests. So regardless of your, depending on what you are specifically interested in religious traditions, languages, concepts, methodologies, you're able to cross-register, take up to 50% of your classes outside of HDS, which is really exciting. So you're able to cross-register across Harvard University. So if you're interested in taking classes at Harvard Law School, Harvard Business School, Harvard Medical School, if you will, a Chan School of Public Health, you're able to do that, but you're also able to cross-register at our 10 colleague institutions across the Boston Theological Interreligious Consortium, which is a phenomenal resource for our students. So you're able to cross-register at Boston University or Boston College, Hebrew College, and so on and so forth. It's really a phenomenal resource. You're also able to, through that, you're also able to get a certificate, which I've just learned about. So it's a really awesome way to sort of add on to your current ability to take advantage within the Harvard system and Harvard Divinity School specifically. Also, here at Harvard Divinity School, we offer 6 programs and centers, many of which our students are able to take advantage of or get jobs at or research assistant positions at. So it is kind of a cool opportunity. So academics are just one part of the HDS experience or the HDS student experience. If you ask any alum, they will probably tell you that the HDS community is their #1 favorite thing about being at HDS. And frankly, as a staff member, it's my #1 favorite thing about being here and working in the admissions office. Here is our incoming class profile. So these are the folks that enrolled this fall. We're really excited to have brought in a larger class, 96 MTS students and 52 MDiv students. As Alessandra mentioned, this is our first year of the MRPL program, so we brought in 12. Our religious traditions sort of reflect the broader array. We brought in 46 religious folks who self-identify from 46 different religious traditions and also speak 62 different languages. Our gender breakdown, as you can see, we're 55% women, so mostly women, as well as 7% non-binary. And our age range, we get a lot of folks who maybe second, third, fourth career folks that are interested in pursuing a graduate degree now. And so they're often asked, would I be the oldest person in the room? And I often say, no, definitely not, which leads to really honestly, the age diversity here, I think, does lead to a really dynamic learning experience, as well as the types of institutions our students are coming from. So as you can see, I have 121 different undergraduate institutions, which just shows the different types of academic training that folks are coming in from, many of whom have not studied religious studies before. Our student life is incredibly rich, and students are able to create community here through either participating or contributing to one of our 3 student-run publications. We have 2 really standard HDS-wide weekly events that are available to faculty, staff, and students. Our noon service is every Wednesday at noon and is really is led by one of our student organizations or student religious groups, as well as other sort of parts of our campus. For example, the HDS staff lead a noon service once a year, which is really fun to be a part of. As well, and then every Tuesday afternoon is community tea, which has been really wonderful. Literally, students just gather around, students, faculty, and staff just gather around, get food, and get to gather and relax and unplug, which is really, really so special, particularly now after after having been remote, and now we are back in person, and to be able to enjoy the beautiful building of Sports Hall and honestly this fantastic fall weather that we've been having here in Cambridge. It's been really special. And then also there are lots of affinity groups, both academic or professional, or even just fun related across the university that our students are able to take advantage of if they want. Students are also able to create community through our 35 plus student organizations that they can be a part of, whether you want to be a part of the HDS Presbyterians or the HDS Unitarian Universalist Students Association, our Jewish Student Association, or Kadila, I think they're called now. But then also, like, there, I believe there's a runners club or and other types of organizations that you could be. There's, I think, a movement organization now. So folks who want, that has like a weekly pickup basketball game. So lots of different ways to connect. There's lots of student-led events, and then 500 plus recurring worship services and social gatherings. There's just so much happening on campus that honestly, a lot of our students just have to pick and choose, in addition to being a full-time graduate student. And there is also an HDS Student Association if you want to have a leadership role and helping to serve as a voice for our student body. And now I'll leave it to Alessandra to talk about the alumni.
Thanks, Margaret. Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, we did want you to get just a snapshot because, going to divinity school oftentimes is not an endeavor that students know that they want to do when they're, 2, 3, or 4 years old. No one wakes up saying, yes, I'm going to divinity school when I'm older. So it's actually an institution and a career path that students fall into by various means, either because it's a slow discernment process that happens over the course of many years, or sometimes it's a sudden epiphany. Maybe it was a class or having to take that required religion class during your undergraduate career that somehow turned you into divinity school. But either way, the multitude of pathways that students take to divinity school are also reflected in the multitude of pathways they take after divinity school, specifically after HDS. And so you can see here that our students go to innumerable different fields. We have the lawyer, we have the writer, we have the software engineer, we have an entrepreneurial founder and CEO. Of course, we have chaplaincy and ministry reflected, therapy, psychology. So really, the world is your oyster when considering HDS. So that's a quick snapshot. We also wanted to highlight for you 4 different alumni profile, again, just to help you to see a little bit about what our students go off to do. So our first one here is Elam Jones, who was an alum of our MDiv degree in 2019. So prior to Harvard Divinity School, he studied religious studies at DePaul University. So he is arriving to us with some form of a religious background, but that's not the case for a lot of our students. While he was at HDS, he focused in on our ethics, conflict, and spiritual care and counseling opportunities. And he chose HDS because he wanted to explore a career in academia as well as professional chaplaincy. So again, that professional chaplaincy would be well suited to the MDiv degree. And then after HDS, he pursued an additional advanced degree, as I was mentioning earlier. So he's a doctoral student at the Harvard Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and also a chaplain at Mass General Hospital, and a chaplain candidate in the US Navy. And again, these are ways in which HDS helped him to achieve his career goals. Our next profile here is Michael Poole, who is our MTS alum here from 2018. So prior to Harvard Divinity School, he's originally from a small town near Toledo, Ohio. And after high school, he moved to Boston to attend Boston College, where he majored in biology and theology in the pre-med program. He then went straight to Harvard Divinity School from undergrad and graduated with the MTS in 2018. So while he was at HDS, he focused in on comparative studies, which is one of those 18 areas of focus that are available to you. And he was really interested on the interreligious issues between Judaism and Christianity. So he took classes with Professor Frank Clooney and Professor John Levinson, who were his co-advisors. And he also cross-registered and did a class with Harvard Business School while he was here. He was mostly interested in future doctoral studies in academia when he initially entered the MTS program, but that changed for him during his time here at HDS, where he decided he wanted to work in high school setting instead. And so that's why he chose HDS. And so in alignment with these goals, after Harvard Divinity School, he went on to work in a private high school in Boston, where he's had a number of roles since then. So he's now the dean of students at that school, where he teaches world religions, and he's also taught chemistry and biology as well. So that's Michael. Then we have Michelle. So she graduated with an MDiv in 2009. Prior to Harvard Divinity School, she went to the UCLA, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts in the study of religion and a minor in education. She transferred from the MDiv program at Princeton Theological Seminary to Harvard Divinity School to prepare for a doctoral program in New Testament. Her career goals were to be a professorate. She wanted to go into academia initially. While she was at HDS, her focus was on womanist theological studies. And then she chose to attend Harvard Divinity School, or transfer to Harvard Divinity School, because of its more artistic and creative flair. She said it was a very difficult decision to choose to transfer, but ultimately one of the most important decisions that she's ever made. And she here quotes that I would not be an artist today, including filmmaking, if I had not attended HDS. I am grateful to God every day that I made that decision. So since graduating, she has become an artist and a filmmaker and directed a film called Another Slave Narrative, which was screened at our second annual film festival. So that's Michelle. And then our final alumni profile here is Sana Saeed, who is an MDiv, graduated in 2018. Sana, prior to Harvard Divinity School, was living in Tokyo, Japan as a Rotary Peace Fellow, where she graduated with a master's in peace building from the International Christian University. She also did a master's of science in conflict analysis and resolution from the School of Conflict Analysis and Resolution at George Mason University. Her focus while at HDS was multi-religious identities, pastoral care, leadership, and worship arts. And she elected Harvard Divinity School to prepare to become a Unitarian Universalist minister. And after HDS, she joined the University of Pennsylvania as their associate director and associate chaplain, and is also a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association as their congregational life staff. So again, this is just a snapshot of 4 alumni to help you get a sense of all the different pathways available to you after HDS. I've done a lot of talking, so I'm definitely going to transfer the mic back to Margaret, who will talk a little bit more about the actual application process.
Thanks, Alessandra. So I am going to talk to you about the application for admission, but I want you to all know that there are going to be a lot of different events that break up the different components of the application, which I definitely recommend that folks in the audience might consider signing up for. I believe we've already had one, which is posted already, so you can check that out if you have a chance. But basically the main application components are the application for admission for entrance in fall 2022 is now available. You can get to our website. If you are interested, I strongly encourage you to consider starting an account and just checking it out, because the application instructions within the application are quite extensive. But the basic components are just what you see on the screen. Statement of purpose for all except for the MRPL, which requires a project proposal. We require a resume, your unofficial academic transcripts, letters of recommendation, writing sample. If English is not your native language, then we would require a TOEFL or IELTS. And then what is new this year is that we are requiring an interview for admission, and these will be by invitation. The timeline is such, as you can also see, our application deadline is we only have one, which is January 6th. So you have lots of time between now and January 6th to work on that application. For folks that are selected, that we will be having extending interviews during late January, early February. If you're, I really strongly encourage everybody who is applying for the MTS or MDiv program to apply for financial aid. And that will also be around the same time. Mid-January is when we usually send out the financial aid application gets sent out. And that deadline will be in February. And then all admissions decisions will be released by mid-March. And what's cool is that admissions decisions and financial aid decisions get released within 24 hours of each other. So folks have the ability to have both pieces of information before making a decision. And everybody gets until April 5th. Everybody who's admitted has until April 15th to let us know if they accept our offer of admission. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about financial aid for you folks. So the first thing everybody should know is that institutional grant aid, which is financial aid, is specifically for folks in the MTS and MDiv programs. We do not provide any institutional grant aid for the MRPL or for the THM or the Master of Theology or the Master of Religion and Public Life does not get any institutional grant aid. And the special student program, the non-degree program, also does not get any institutional grant aid. If you are interested in applying for the Master of Theological Studies or the Master of Divinity, that is where the majority of our actually all of our financial aid really goes, our institutional grant aid goes. 90% of students in both those programs get financial aid. So the vast majority of those people get financial aid, and the majority of those get need-based aid. That's where we have chosen to put the majority of our money. So the financial aid application is required for that. So if you are applying, basically what happens is the application deadline for admission is January 6th. And then all applicants get to the MTS and MDiv program get an email saying the financial aid application is now available. What's cool about this is that we are a need-blind institution. So admissions and financial aid are completely separate. We don't make any decisions of your admission based on your financial aid. So that's something that some folks have asked. If you are applying for need-based aid, there's 3 levels that you folks get. Our minimum need-based aid package is 75% tuition grant or 3/4 tuition grant. Then it goes up to 100% tuition grant. Then it goes up to 100% full tuition grant and a living stipend. And that's just for need-based aid. The tuition grant and a stipend is just for a small pool of people. For a very small pool of people, we also offer merit aid. And that is basically anybody who applies for admission is automatic to the MDiv or MTS is automatically considered for merit aid. And that is based on the strength of your application. So that's just something all applicants are considered automatically. Merit awards are basically full tuition plus a modest stipend. And the merit decisions are released at the same time as your admissions decision. So now that we've talked about that, I'm going to turn my camera on. I'm going to ask Alessandra to turn her camera back on. And then we're going to talk, everybody, when you registered, people were able to submit some questions. So we're going to just talk about the top 3 of those, and then we'll leave time for Q&A. Oops. All right. What sets HDS apart from other divinity schools? I love this question because the first thing is, I think that there are loads of really fantastic divinity schools around. So folks in the audience, I think if you're looking at us, I hope you're looking at other institutions because we're all great. And in fact, we recruit with the Association of Academic Divinity Schools, which we are a founding member of. And so I really hope you all have the ability to sign up for some AADS events or follow the AADS Instagram handle because there's loads of things that we're working on this year. So you have a chance to hear from all of us at the same time. I think what I do want to point out is that what really makes HDS unique, aside from the fact that we are affiliated with Harvard University and the wonderful resources across Harvard, is the fact that we are the most religiously pluralistic divinity school in the world. So if you are interested in pursuing your academic training or your ministerial training in an environment which is going to have diversity and therefore maybe a lot of people who don't think like you or don't come from your background or don't have the same types of assumptions of the world that you do, then this is a great place. If that does not feel comfortable, if you are not interested in that, then that's not a good fit. And that's great for you to know, right? I don't think that that's a bad thing either. I do think that, however, what comes from this place is a really unique amalgamation of different ideas and thoughts and therefore different pathways. So that's what I think is really neat. Alessandra, do you have anything you want to add? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, well, I think it goes along with what you said. One of the things about HDS and why we're able to be so pluralistic is also because we do have a slightly larger student body as well than some of our other divinity school partners. And so that allows for there to be a critical mass of underrepresented students. And so it allows our applicants really to be able to find a home within our student body because there are, people from all walks of life represented here. And not to say that you couldn't find that at other divinity schools as well, but given that, we are such a larger school, there's a flexibility with that. And also a really generous cross-registration policy. Again, you can take up to half of your entire coursework at HDS at any of our other Harvard graduate programs and the BTI, as well as Tufts and MIT.
Although I just want to tell you that while students have that option, the majority of students actually don't. I mean, there's a few that do, but I think there's such a wealth of courses here offered here that often students have a paralysis of choice sometimes, but still somehow happen to make it and are really happy with their choices. Is it better to have a clear line of study outline before applying, or is it better to come into the program with a clear slate before identifying a specific area of study? Alessandra, can you start?
Sure. So I think what this question is trying to get at is it better to know in advance really what it is you want to do and to outline that really clearly in the application, or is it okay to be a little bit more open-ended and not have a clear idea just yet and maybe figure it out as you're here? I would say that both perspectives have value to them. I will say, though, that again, given that divinity school in general is not necessarily a graduate program that most people are familiar with, typically applicants to a divinity school have done some thought about why divinity school would be helpful to them. And we do ask pretty explicitly in our statement of purpose instructions that you speak clearly to what your goals would be. So you will need to provide us with your background, your educational background and personal experiences that have, brought you to this moment of time in which you think, divinity school is the best next step for you. And then you'll also want to tell us why Harvard Divinity School and also how that would align with your career goals. So you do want to approach the application with some sense of reflection and purpose. But I do want to make clear here that definitely we in the admissions office are not in any way holding you to what you commit to on your application. It's not a commitment, in other words. It's your reflections and thoughts that we actually hope to some extent would be amenable to change while you're here at Harvard Divinity School. Sometimes, you might just take a class with that professor that's completely eye-opening. And as you saw from our alumni profiles from earlier, a lot of them came in with ideas of what they wanted to do, and then those were changed by the end of their time here. So there's flexibility in terms of changing your pathway once you're here, but we definitely do want to get a sense of why you're interested in divinity school, and then also specifically why HDS through your statement of purpose. Margaret, do you have anything to add?
What makes a difference between a student who is prepared for HDS and one who is not? So this is a question. So I actually had a few questions. I read this in a few different ways. So I would love for Alessandra to chime in if she has additional thoughts. What I read this is like, what I want to address at least is a little bit of imposter syndrome, because I think that this is what I think a lot of folks are like, well, it's Harvard. I'm really scared. I don't know if I have the academic preparation from my undergrad or from my past experiences that would be attracted to HDS. And I want to say that the vast majority of people here, I think, feel that way. Just to be honest, I think that our students come from 100, our incoming classes just has students from 121 different institutions. A lot of them were, the vast majority of them are, or all of them are not really Harvard College. They're from other places around the country and around the world. folks that are coming through community colleges to transfer to state universities or different private institutions, liberal arts colleges, international schools. So there's a lot of different types of folks with a lot of different types of backgrounds and experiences, both personal, professional, and academic. And that's what lends to a really wonderful and dynamic learning community, because it's not just necessarily about what you learn in the classroom, but all the things that are outside of it, and folks that are also wanting to make the community a better place. Alessandra, do you have other things to add?
Yeah, so it looks like maybe Margaret, and I hope I'm not putting, maybe we both thought about this question differently, because the way I saw it was maybe more along the lines of what makes an application compelling enough that you would select that one over perhaps a different one. And I want to say that one of the things we really do stress, and I know you hear this a lot in the admissions field, is that holistic review. But I really, really want to stress how central that is to our process. And it's not just a term that we throw out there and don't actually execute. In fact, every application is read from cover to cover multiple times, a bare minimum of twice. And that's bare minimum. So usually many more times than that. And again, we're comprised of faculty and administrators in the admissions committee who are, again, multiple voices who are weighing in on a single application. So I want to stress that. And I also want to stress sometimes like a practical and logistical constraint here, which is that there are many wonderfully prepared candidates for Harvard Divinity School that we simply just don't have the space for, just a literal constraint. So I want to encourage that if you're really, really devoted to going to divinity school, that's the right next step for you, and that HDS is the right place for you. And if you're not admitted that first time that you apply, please try again. Please feel free. We certainly admit applicants who have applied more than once. And it's very subject to the application pool during that year, for example. So try again. But essentially, what makes an application compelling to me as I'm looking through it involves three questions that I keep in my mind. And I've shared these before, and I know our director of admissions has shared these before in other sessions, but it's really true. Essentially, there are three questions that I'm considering as I'm reading the entirety of your application. The first one is, why you? And when I ask why you, I don't mean it as in like, why should I pick you on my team over the other individual next to you? In fact, I mean it more so as in, introduce yourself to me. I have no clue who you are apart from the application materials that I'm reading in front of me. So if I were to meet you in person and you're shaking my hand, what would I need to know about you in order to learn about your interest in divinity school? What about your background? What about your personal experiences, your schooling? Tell me all of that. All of that will help me to form a picture of you. And then I also want you, so that's talking about your past. I also want to know, so that's why you was the first question. Why Harvard Divinity School, which would involve you, this would be a great space for you to show that you have done your research on HDS. Like Margaret said, there are so many great divinity schools to choose from in the country, and we hope you actually are looking at and considering those various divinity schools as well. But you're choosing to apply to HDS, and we want to know why that is. Is there a specific professor, a class, a program, or a center? Name drop that in your statement of purpose. Let us know why Harvard Divinity School. So that was the second question. The third question that I have is, why now? Why are you choosing this moment in your life to apply to divinity school? As you saw from our alumni, some of them went straight from undergrad to div school here, and others took some time off in between to maybe gain some practical work experience in another field of interest. So that's a personal decision and one that's interesting to me. So again, why Harvard Divinity School now as opposed to 2 years ago or 5 years from now? So these are questions that I have percolating in my mind, and a compelling application is one in which I can answer all three questions by the time I'm done reading through the whole thing. And again, stressing here that even if you are able to answer all three questions well, sometimes there really just is that logistical constraint about space, and encourage you to reapply.
I'm really glad that you mentioned all of that, because we obviously had this question very differently. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now. And so that folks can see us. And as we head to the Q&A portion. So if you have questions now, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A portion below.
All right, so I see one here, Margaret. It asks, do students have the option to switch their MTS concentration after having started their MTS, or are they held accountable to what they initially declare?
Absolutely. Folks are able to switch into the area of switch their area of study without a lot of issues. They just have to talk to their advisor and to the registrar to make that happen. Really, I think the thing is that the same one class could apply for the same sort of concentration area of different areas. It just honestly really wants to, the way you choose it is like, how do you want to situate yourself? So you can study Buddhist women in South Asian religions, or Buddhist studies, or within women, gender, and sexuality and religion. You know, so it just depends on where you want to situate yourself within the field.
Great. Here's a quick one, Margaret. Is the GRE required?
What a great question. Thanks so much for asking. The GRE is not required. It is optional. If you would like to send it to us, please use the HDS institution code, but it is not required. The majority of people do not submit a GRE score for their application. If you feel like it would add something to your application, you can feel free to go ahead, but otherwise you don't need to.
Great. If someone is applying to HDS for the second time, is it a wise choice to mention this in the statement? Now, I'll start with this question. We will see that you are a reapplicant. So if you are applying a second or third time, we do retain all of your application materials within our admissions database for up to 3 years. So as a reapplicant, you would have the opportunity to request the reuse of up to 3 letters of recommendation. And we would also have on file any standardized test scores like the GRE, or if you are an international applicant, your TOEFL or IELTS scores. In your statement of purpose, you wouldn't need to state outright that you are a reapplicant, but you could use the opportunity to highlight ways in which, you know, depending on how long you waited to reapply, maybe it was a year or it was several years, you could highlight ways in which you have grown in that time through additional experiences or opportunities that you've pursued in that time between applying the first time and your second or third time. And your resume also is a great place to highlight additional experience that you've earned during that time frame. I don't know if you have anything additional for that, Margaret. Nope. Okay. All right, we're getting a few questions here. If someone applies and does not get in, can they apply for the special student path at that point with the intention to take a few courses and apply again the following year?
Wait, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I was reading.
No, that's fine. This individual is wondering whether if they apply and do not get in, can they apply for the special students program at that point? And
no.
The answer is no. Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Thanks for repeating the question. Okay. So yeah, if you apply and are denied, you would have to wait for the next application cycle in order to apply. And we only have 1 per year. So.
All right. Can we talk a little bit more about the artistic opportunities at HDS?
Yeah. So, so much of this is student driven. Again, so many of the interests that you would find that we provide as examples, just from here or there, all of that has to do with the diversity of types of students that are on campus. Therefore, I have seen students put on things like, or spearhead things like festivals, or are able to transform parts of our campus into gallery spaces, or put on performances as part of noon service or through a student organization. I would say we now have something called Joyful Noise, which is a weekly gathering, I think on Tuesday late afternoons, for folks to just get together and play music or sing. And it's just different students just wanting to, I think let off some steam and just make music with some of their friends. There's the HDS chorus. So there's just a lot of different ways, the film festival, obviously. So there's just different ways for different types of folks in different arts to be able to do their art as alongside their academic coursework, particularly if that is their ministry. Yeah, thanks. I think we have time for maybe 2 questions.
Sure. Can you please talk a little bit about the interview in the MTS application process? So just to be clear here, interviews will be conducted virtually exclusively through Zoom, and they'll be extended on an invitation-only basis, as Margaret was mentioning, sometime in late January and early February. And this will be essentially a casual conversation with a member of the admissions committee, where we're just trying to, we read your application materials, so we're familiar with your interest in HDS, but we want to put a face to the name. So you can expect that this conversation would be around 15 minutes, and we'd be asking you, about 3 to 4 questions, just probing your application a little bit, gauging what you would be like as a community member here, and then also giving you the chance to ask us any questions that you might have. So that's a little tip there to make sure you do a little bit of research yourself so that you have some questions prepared for us. But essentially, it's also an opportunity for you, not only for us to interview you, but for you to interview us to see if Harvard Divinity School is ultimately the place that you'd want to end up at. So that's what I can say about that for now.
Okay, here's a question. The MRPL asks for a writing sample. Is there something specific you're looking for? Or is it more desiring a sample of writing ability? That's a great question. It honestly, it's honestly just to evaluate an applicant's ability to write. This is a very research, writing and reading intense place. Students in the MRPL class are taking classes with MTS and MDiv students and PhD students and special students. Everybody can take classes with each other. The way that we find distinctions, there's no hierarchy really. It's just honestly different academic goals. People who are in doctoral programs or have different academic goals than folks in the MTS and folks in the MDiv, right? At this moment of their academic journeys. So that's one really cool thing. And so just getting a chance to understand your writing ability. So if you're an applicant where it's been some time since you were in a classroom or an academic setting, this is a chance for you to be able to write something new, perhaps on a topic related to the study of religion. That would be really fun. But if you're a current undergrad, this is something you can choose to submit a humanities or social science paper. It's just, again, a snapshot for us to get a sense of your writing preparation. So I think that's actually all the time we have left, unfortunately. If you have other questions, I want to encourage you to send us an email at admissions. And And, oh, sorry. And please do feel free to reach out. We have an awesome admissions blog that I really covers a lot of these topics. Our Instagram is really cool. Please do follow us if you are on social media. We have lots of more events that we hope that you'll be able to join us for. Thank you all so much for your time, for your attention, your energy, your questions. We're really grateful for all of you, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful, week. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.